see those gorgeous faces. Well, we all know cancer isn't a one-man show. Today we're recognizing the men and women who walk the road with their loved ones. For these two men, it has been the ultimate test of their relationship. Please welcome Don Kerr and Graham Warner. Hi, guys.
Hi, Kate.
Now, Don, your wife, Kate, was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer in 2011. You've got two sons together. They're 5 and 7 years old. So you got a lot on your plate. I want to know, how do you give support? Because you're the one that is, being vented on. You're the one that's getting the sadness. You're the one that has to watch this person that you love go through this. How do you give that support but stay relatively sane? Because that is a huge burden to carry.
Jokingly, I said to you earlier that you don't stay sane.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to recognize right off the top, that you will go nuts. And it's inevitable. Because you're, particularly from a male perspective, it's bred in the bone for us to fix it. Mm-hmm. That's what we're supposed to do. That's how we're brought up. And when this happens, you come to the realization, I can't fix it. I cannot fix this. But what you can do is act on behalf of your partner in terms of reaching out. Mm-hmm. In terms of, there's a tendency, I think, at least it happened in our case, where you wanted to become like the hermit empire and just, hide away. You can't do that. But it's hard for the person with cancer to reach out that way. So that's what I decided to do, that I would reach out and try to find out what was going on out there. Yeah. And try to be Katie's voice with our intimate community, and then eventually with a much broader community as well.
Did she ever get angry with you?
Not even once.
You gotta love them, right, Kate? What would you say about the support you got from Don?
Well, just sort of building off what Don was saying, really, is that for me there was an almost immediate need to hide, just to be away from everybody, including my children. I didn't want them to see me in this state that I was in, so I needed to just hide. And the problem with that is, how do you pull yourself back out again? Once you're hiding under that rock, it gets harder and harder and harder to reach out. And for whatever reason, I married a man who did that for me. And he did. He literally did this. And at first it was uncomfortable. I did not want him reaching out for me. When he started his blog, that was uncomfortable too. But in the end, what happened was he was able to reconnect me with people around me. So,
amazing. Yeah. Now, Graham, we met Warrior D, your wife Dion, earlier in the show. What's interesting about your story is that you were not married to Dion when she was diagnosed. You could have left, and an oncologist at the time actually predicted you would. Let's talk about that.
Well, when Dion was diagnosed, we'd been engaged for 4 months, and she said I didn't have to marry her. But my response was, I took her by the hand and said, you never leave your wingman. So we started the journey. Then there was just no question that we'd be together. And then one of her first oncologists wanted to give a more thorough diagnosis to Dion while I was in the room, and she insisted that I leave. And we both challenged her and said, no, it's fine. And Dion was, no, Graham can stay here. And she kept resisting. And then finally, Dion said, why do you want him to leave? And she said, he might not marry you if he hears how bad your diagnosis is. We switched oncologists. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Because that would never weigh in for you. That would never change your devotion to Dion. If there's one thing I've seen with you two, you are partners, you are soulmates, you go through it together. As I mentioned with Dion, you dress up in different costumes to go undergo chemo. It's an amazing partnership. You think she's the best thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I knew her before she was diagnosed with any cancers, and she was out of my league. And so after surviving the breast cancer, I still kept in contact. And then she had the brain cancer. And it was after the second brain operation, I thought, maybe they remove some good judgment cells.
Because she said yes. She said
That's right,
yes.
yeah.
Give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much. You guys are great. Now, as a way to acknowledge the caregivers who are there to support the people who have cancer, FacingCancer.ca, in partnership with Shoppers Drug Mart, established the Facing Cancer Together Co-Survivor Award. And we've got a winners right here in our audience right now. I want to tell you this story. 6 months after meeting handsome, intelligent Christian, Maria Rosa was diagnosed with leukemia. She insisted Christian move on. He wouldn't. A few weeks later, doctors discovered a genetic mutation, which meant Maria Rosa would need a bone marrow transplant. It also meant full-body radiation, which would destroy any hope of having kids. Again, Maria Rosa gave Christian an out. He wouldn't take it. Instead, he worked from the hospital lounge, slept on windowsills when there were no chairs, held her hand while she vomited, cleaned her up when she had accidents, and then proposed when she went into remission. A quote from Maria Rosa: "Christian is my selfless co-survivor, and I want him to know that putting himself second to care for me was priceless." You win the award. Christian and Maria Rosa, give them a big round of applause. Beautiful. There were so many touching stories like this, but the winners, we're happy we could congratulate them.